Hey there, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening if you're watching this from. And this is going to be a small talk on forgiveness. So, the reason why I believe some of us are so stuck, or rather, I should speak for myself, is that the reason why I'm so stuck in the past is because I'm not able to specifically move on or technically, forgive myself for the past failures that I've, gone through the past mistakes that I've done and the past opportunities that I've passed up on. You know, it's really hard to, go through life or just go through your day to day, not even necessarily life itself on grander scale, but just on your day to day, knowing or dwelling on the fact that, you've missed that opportunity or you've missed to take that chance or you missed out on that relationship because of whatever reasons, maybe unresolved issues, unresolved personal issues, family matters, and so on. And or maybe it doesn't literally need to be any external factor as well. It might just be within yourself. Speaking from experience, I've had a lot of things in the past that my younger self had to deal with personally. It wasn't really due to any external factors. It was just my own insecurities, my own fears, my own doubts that really stopped me from actually pursuing stuff that I actually wanted to pursue. I had, for the longest time, I believe I wasn't really sure on what path I wanted to take. I wasn't really sure on how I want to live life, how I want to live my life, how I want to, you know, create an impact by my existence itself, or generally how to, go on expressing myself and be fine with that. I struggled with that a lot, and I wasn't really able to really uh, genuinely say things that I actually wanted to say, do things that I actually wanted to do without having this overwhelming fear at the back of my head, telling me that, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I've failed a couple of times. I'm a burden. I'm a mistake. I am just a curse to other people, and I'm a curse to myself, and stuff like that. And I feel like that's a phase in life that we all go through. Some of us may be going through it now. Some of us may have gone through it before, and some of us may encounter it again in the future. You never know. But there are always going to be those times where you're gonna have to fail. You're gonna have to pass up on other opportunities for whatever reason. It could be because it's not the right time. It could be because you let your own fears and insecurities get in the way, and you can't really get out of your head, which is filled with a lot of negative thoughts that stop you from actually doing things that matter to you and that would make you a much happier person, so to say. But yeah, and speaking from that experience, it's really hard to forgive yourself for that, because you're gonna keep looking back on it as regret. You're gonna keep looking back on it as a failed opportunity or a missed out opportunity that could have propelled you to grander heights or in a better state overall as a human being, rather than you suffering in the place that you are now. And I wanted to just touch on that because a lot of us, whether we like to admit it or not, some of us are, or most of us are in better positions than others, and some of us are in worse positions than others. But all of us, despite our state in life, or despite where we're at in life, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, even financially, you know, we all have those regrets that we struggle to let go of, we struggle to deal with, we struggle to overcome, and struggle to move past from and grow from. It's and that in and of itself, that dwelling, that constant, reminiscing of what could be. What if I done this a little differently? What if I acted a little differently? What if my mindset was a bit better? What if I was, you know, physically at peak, you know, or what if I was just an overall braver human being? It's kind of hard to, go into those phases of constantly thinking that and trying to forgive yourself at the same time because At the end of the day, forgiving yourself means letting go and not necessarily, disregarding whatever happened and, acting like it never happened. But coming to terms with what's happened has already happened. There's nothing we can do to change it, and there's no use in dwelling on it for longer because the more you dwell on something, especially if it's something negative, the more destructive it could be. You know, you, I, I've had personal experience regarding that. Just to cover up my own failures. I don't necessarily, lash out to people in anger because I feel like that's not gonna do anything. Of course, it's not gonna. Yeah, it's gonna make you feel better. It's gonna make you, feel a little bit lighter and all that. And all of us have our own ways of coping, but I feel like ultimately lashing out, like, just for the sake of lashing out, is uh, is is not really doing anything because you're gonna just be, making other people around you feel less, and you're not gonna necessarily feel better, but you're also gonna feel less because you're gonna end up hurting them, and then you're gonna have a lot of things that are running through your mind, and you're not in a very stable emotional state for you to be, expressing yourself that openly and that vulnerably. So you're going to be saying things that you don't really mean. You're going to be saying things, or you're going to be acting in a way that you wouldn't really necessarily act on a normal basis, just because of your mental state and how you are emotionally. You're acting out of raw emotion instead of rationality. So that's one thing that normally leads to more regrets and more things, or more reasons why you can't forgive yourself, or why I can't forgive myself as well, because we get so caught up in our own anger, we get so caught up in our own regrets and our own sorrow and what we had to let go of, and it really weighs you down. And I feel like the one thing that ultimately leaves it all, or actually heals it and allows you to move forward, is forgiving yourself. Like, you could be you could be dealt a really bad hand, you could have the worst possible luck, but even if you did have somewhat of a good, some of a decent luck, or you've had good strides or good phases and stuff, but you didn't really put in the effort or the time to make it work. Yeah, that sometimes is our fault, of course, because we have certain situations which, or certain opportunities which we let go of, or we just disregard all completely, or just not even bother trying because of our past history and how things turned out. So we ultimately feel like we're gonna end up the same way. So it's just in that thought at the back of your head saying that, hey, why even try? I mean, not, it's gonna end up the same way anyways. I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna get my heart broken. I'm just gonna be sad all over again. So why even try? So yeah, but that's really self sabotaging, and that's something that I've dealt with, or I've indulged in for the longest time, which, as you can see, got me here talking to you about my own personal experiences about regret and struggling to forgive myself. But yeah, what I've learned along the way, enough with the self-depressing talk and all that. But what I've learned along the way is that, you know, the quicker you are to forgive yourself, the more better it is for you to move on. And sometimes, if not necessarily, it doesn't have to be, you forgiving yourself in general. It could be forgiveness in general as well. It can be forgiveness from that you give to other people, sometimes in the sake of they deserve it because they're humans just as they make mistakes and so on. But it's also, I think, the most important part of forgiveness is for yourself. you know like, just to let go of all that burden and that anger that's on your shoulders, that regret that's on your shoulders, that heartache that's on your shoulders, that's weighing you down from actually doing the things you want to do and actually being the person you were made to be, or that you dream of being. you know the one thing that hurts the most is that you weren't able to you weren't able to become who you were meant to be, just because of something you couldn't get past by, or something you personally were holding on to. Because at the end of the day, that's something that ultimately was your fault, because you didn't really take the opportunity to move on from it and be open to other opportunities out there. And yeah, I think yeah, it's much more better to forgive yourself, and you can start by taking steps, being one of them being that, you know, yeah, you messed up. Yeah, sometimes it was your fault. Yeah, sometimes you didn't give it your all, sometimes and all that, but it happens to people. It happens. You're not always going to be perfect. You're not always going to be ready to go. You're not always going to be up and running 100%, and that's okay. You're human. Sometimes we forget that we're actually human beings, and we try to be machines where, you know, we try to work 100%, give it our all, and expect to stay efficient every day of our lives for who knows how long. And we don't realize that, we were born imperfect. We don't live forever. We can't maximize all of our capabilities as a human being. We have restrictions, we have limits, we have we have all of that. And sometimes it's good to respect that, because if you disregard that altogether, I mean, you may not be living now, you know. So yeah, and I know there are a lot of people out there who talk about, it's all in the mind if you push through it and all that. But then, yeah, sometimes the mind controls the body, but sometimes the body's telling the mind, you gotta shut down. Your body can shut down, but your mind can still be going. So what's the use, from all the tiredness? So yeah, just remind yourself that you are human. Remind yourself that it's okay to fail, so long as you don't dwell on it for too long, and so that it doesn't become destructive, and it doesn't, tear your life apart just for you to overcome, or just for you to heal from that. Instead, take steps moving forward. And I think uh, the more you dive in and indulge in activities or in practices or exercises that help you move forward, being taking care of your body, taking care of your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health, then I think it will be much easier to forgive yourself, because then you look back and you know, you'll see that you've taken the effort, you've taken the steps that are necessary for you to heal, and that in and of itself will drive you forward to becoming a better human being and becoming more, you know easy on yourself, despite whatever it is that you go through, despite the hardships that you go through. You'll be like, it's okay, I messed up a couple of times, but what to do, man, I'm human. So you start to look for it as a way to grow, as a way to learn from, and ultimately you'll be able to move forward in life despite whatever it throws at you. So yeah, that's basically it for this talk, guys. So to sum it all up, just know that you're human, know that you can fail, know that you can break, know that you can completely shatter and be at rock bottom, hopeless and desperate. But at the end of the day, you can also take a step to climb up, to get out of that hole, to get out of that pit that you've dug yourself in. And if you're shrouded in darkness, maybe you gotta look within instead of the things around you, and you get to see that little glimpse of light that ultimately propels you to a hopeful and more faithful lifestyle. But yeah, that's just my take on it, guys. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and hope you guys took away something from this. Have a great day ahead. Bye.